Prospecting can be confusing. You might eventually figure it out through trial and error, but like most things in Vintage Story, you may need to read the handbook. However, the handbook doesn't cover everything, so you will likely look up a YouTube tutorial or even the wiki page. I myself have searched all three of these places in order to gather as much information as I could, and I think I finally understand. Prospecting is like gambling. When you take samples, the readings give you several data points which determine your odds of success, but do not guarantee it. First, a quality reading, then an ore type, and finally, a number. You can think of these as your odds of success, the type of prize, and how much of that prize is potentially available. But before we get into any of that, there's a few game mechanics that will help you better use the readings. Mainly columns, chunks, and fields. Prospecting has two modes, density and node search. Both modes require you to take samples and read the resulting data to narrow down your best chance of finding that specific ore. Node search checks the immediate area for the presence of ore, while density search examines the first column out of 3 samples to estimate what ores are most likely in the surrounding chunk. If this is still confusing, I'll try and simplify it by going into more detail. Let's start with chunk size. In certain other games, every chunk reaches from the very top to the very bottom of the world. But in Vintage Story, chunks are cubes. Each chunk cube is 32 by 32 by 32 blocks. The reading gives you an estimate of what you will find in that chunk. Now, I don't know what the official dimension of a column is, but considering this game uses a lot of real-world mechanics, I assume it's similar to when geologists bore long tubes out of the earth to sample the layers, which would mean the column is likely based on a 1-block space going directly down for the length of one chunk, or 32 blocks. But that's just a guess. The information from that column is used to estimate what is in the rest of the chunk. Because the data is limited to that chunk, this means that you don't have to dig all the way down to the bottom of the world for every reading. If you don't find the ore after digging 32 blocks down, you can move over about 12 blocks and try again. The second thing to know is that ore spawning happens in fields, which branch out from a central point. The highest chance for ore will be at the center of the best prospecting readings. Now, for the important part, how to use the prospecting pick and interpret the resulting data. As mentioned before, the prospecting pick comes with 2 modes, density search and node search. In previous versions of the game, node search was off by default, but it has since been updated, so the default setting is to search in a 6-block radius instead. If you want to increase or decrease this number, you can do so when you create the world, or by typing this command in chat, with radius being a number 1 through 8. When you are ready to prospect, grab both your picks and a shovel, and make sure you have plenty of room in your inventory. Grab a few torches or other light sources, and bring plenty of food. I suggest at least 2 crock pots of something hefty. Also, bring an extra bed. If you don't find a vein quickly, you may need to sleep through the night. There is some chance that you may need a second pickaxe. But if you are lucky, you will hopefully have enough copper for several pickaxes before yours breaks. You can start by looking for exposed stone to take your first sample. Otherwise, you will need to dig down until you find any type of stone. Make sure there are at least 3 blocks between each sample and no more than 16 blocks from the first sample. If any sample is too far or too close to the other samples, then the whole process will start over. Now take a moment to look at your data. The readings will appear in the chat box, but also as a waypoint on your map. You can press T to open chat and click on the ore names, which will open their page in the handbook. As of this video, you can't click on the ore names on the map to open the corresponding handbook page, but you can click on this drop-down menu to narrow down which ores are shown on the map. For example, if you only want to check for copper. Now, all the sample waypoints only show the odds of copper spawning in that area. They will still show other ores if you hover over them, but any waypoints that don't include copper will disappear from the map, and the color of each waypoint will correspond only to the presence of copper. Next, look at the quality of the readings. This is the first word in each line of data. In this case, quality does not refer to how good the ore is, but rather the odds that ore veins spawned when the world generated. This is where the gambling comes in. Poor quality means there is a low chance that ore spawned. Very high means there is a very good chance that ore spawned. But in both cases, it is not guaranteed. Lastly is the given number. The symbol may look like a % sign at first glance, but it is actually a per mil sign and means parts per 1,000. This is how much ore is potentially present in that chunk in parts per 1,000 blocks. For example, if the reading is 7.92 per mil, then if the ore spawned, there will be 7.92 blocks per 1,000 blocks. Since a chunk is about 23,768 blocks, that would be about 259 blocks of that ore per chunk. Assuming, of course, I did any of that math right. And assuming the number rounds down and not up. Once again, this is a gamble. A poor quality reading with high per mil means there is a low chance of ore having spawned. But if the ore did spawn, then there is a lot of it. At the same time, if there is a high quality reading, but a very low per mil, then that means there is a very good chance the ore did spawn, but that there isn't very much of it. Ideally, you want both. A very high chance that the ore spawned with the world generation, and a high per mil if it did spawn. So, place your bets. If you are lucky, you will find surface copper or other ore while following the readings, and can dig in those spots first. If not, you'll have to keep taking samples until you find an area with good enough quality to be worth mining. When the readings are poor or minuscule, it is best to leave more space between samples. Moving a good 80 or 100 blocks over for the next reading will help you narrow down the best locations. Beware of bears and wolves. You may find yourself running away for a good 5 minutes before losing them and cautiously making your way back to your last reading. I suggest digging a beast pit to get rid of the problem. Check your readings. Once the quality improves to decent or high, you can reduce your search to every 30 or so blocks. On your map, the waypoints will lead to a central location with the highest quality reading for that area. This is where you will switch to node search. If you did not change the settings, the node search will check in a 6-block radius for ore. Unlike density search, which only gives the odds, node search looks for actual ore in the area. If it says there is ore nearby, then there is ore nearby. If the ore is near the surface, you will find it quickly. If not, use the node search to determine if any ore is within 6 blocks of the sample. The wiki and several other YouTubers recommend mining straight down every 8 to 12 blocks to search for the ore. To avoid falling in a deep, deep hole, you can use a water column and dig out breathing pockets as you go. You can also dig in a 1x2 column straight down, or in a spiral. You can also simply dig straight down, so long as you have enough blocks to get out again. I prefer the spiral method, and rather than return to the surface, I like to dig in a branching pattern that tests for ore 6 blocks out in all 4 cardinal directions around my spiral. If I find nothing, I spiral down 6 to 12 more blocks and try again. If I don't get a reading after going down 32 blocks, then I mine one of the branches deeper and check 6 blocks out from that branch every 6 to 12 blocks. You might only find a little copper at first, but keep using node search to find the rest, and soon you'll have a large vein to dig out. If the node search continues to find nothing, there's a chance that no matter how high the quality was, you just got unlucky and it didn't spawn. As I said before, this is very much a gamble. All you can do is play your best odds. I hope this helped. If there was something I didn't go over or you want more details, then let me know in the comments. This game has so many features it'll take a very long time to get through all of them. Thank you for watching, and take care of yourself.